Hey guys, welcome to Sippin' and Spillin' with Sid from 3 Mississippi. I hope you're having a good day so far. Man, we're in the middle of that winter storm, aren't we? It's cold out right now. This is very warm, but it's cold out. The sun is out right now and there's not a cloud in the sky, but we are expected to start getting snow starting Thursday. Today, as you guys are seeing this, I'm filming this on Wednesday afternoon, but you guys, we're supposed to get some snow, and it'll be the first time since we moved here that they've really gotten any snow. I've heard tales in the past of they've gotten enough snow to like go sledding and that kind of stuff. I've seen pictures of our front yard covered in snow before that the previous owner showed me. So it's definitely has happened before and might just happen in the next 48 hours. We're supposed to get some rain after the snow, about a ½ inch of rain altogether. So we're looking at some icy conditions. So everybody's kind of figuring school's going to be closed at least on Friday, and to just stay home. Like everybody's just sort of hunkering down, you know. No plans to drive anywhere crazy on the roads and all of that because it's expected to be pretty cold and pretty icy. Like right now it's about 30 degrees, but with the chill factor it feels like 22, which isn't too bad. It's cold, but it's not that bad. And as you can tell, it's a little bit windy, breezy, not windy, but breezy. And it's definitely a little chilly. So we're supposed to get some real weather. I'm kind of excited. You know, this kind of weather is obviously more exciting than tornado warnings or tornado watches or severe thunderstorms with the possibility of quarter-sized hail. Like those storms don't get me as excited, you know, or I mean, I guess they do. They get me more anxious, excited than anything else. But you know, snow is just one of those things that I haven't seen very much of in my life, so I get kind of excited at the possibility of it. And I've seen flurries a few times since we've lived here, but nothing that like really stuck. We had a little bit of flurries the other day, right after that severe storm that came through. The kind of the tail end of it, the worst of it, of course, avoided us. Thank you. But we definitely got a cold blast afterward and got a little bit of snow flurries. The hood of my truck was covered in some snow, which I may insert a clip into Friday's video of some of that. We'll see how it pans out in the editing room, but I did get a little bit of footage. It was still dark outside, and I was like, what? That's really a lot of frost on my truck. And I went and picked it up, and it was powdery snow. Just a little bit, but it was powdery snow. And they got a little bit more, like one town over, which is still kind of part of our town, but sort of separate, sort of like a kind of like a suburb, but not a suburb. I don't know. It's a little different out here, but it's like 20 minutes away, but it's still like kind of part of our town. Anyway, they got a little bit more than we did. It stuck to the ground a little bit, but nothing that you could like go play in or anything like that. And then, you know, maybe just kind of hunker down a little bit Friday. I'll probably do my deep clean of the house Friday and just sort of, you know, if Frankie's home, maybe we'll watch some movies. I'll make like a big pot of soup or something and just sort of do our thing, just sort of chill out. I'm kind of looking forward to that. That's the kind of storm I like a one-day hunker down. Like I'm good, you know, a couple days, 1-2 days. Last year we had to hunker down for about 4 or 5 days where the roads were real bad and everything was real icy and kind of nobody was going anywhere. And the kids missed like a whole week of school. So we'll see. This year shouldn't be as bad. It should be just a quick little boop boop, and then it's, you know, it'll still be cold for a few days, but it won't be crazy. And they said, I've seen different varying weather reports, everything from 1 inch to 5 inches. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't know. And then I know you guys, it's already happened at this point of you seeing this, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit on our live that we'll be doing tonight. But we had some unexpected guests. Well, I guess they're more than guests, like unexpected tenants that kind of moved in, almost like trespassers, if you will. Let me back it up. So you guys know I have Muscovy ducks. And typically Muscovies don't lay this time of year, especially when it's cold. They are a bush duck. They're technically not even a duck. I think I've explained all that before in another video previously, but, and they have real dark meat, like it looks like steak basically. And so these guys are just kind of an odd breed, but they're great usually at raising their young and very fertile. Like they do really well. You kind of just can leave them alone, set it and forget it, right? And you can just keep having ducks. So my breeding stock that I had in California, I did not take with me. I left it with the new owners there. And they were from a breeder's breeding stock. They were not from a hatchery. When I came out here, I ordered some from a hatchery. And in my experience in my life with birds, the birds that I've gotten from hatcheries don't tend to have the same maternal instincts and sitting, hatching instincts, brooding instincts that birds that were bred by breeders do. And there's a few different reasons for that, you know, when it comes down to like how they're, you know, somebody who's breeding the birds, their goal is to have the best of all the qualities, right? So if somebody's a terrible mom, when they raise them out and they try to do, they're going to eat those, and that line's going to go away, right? So they're only going to raise the ones that are the best out of, you know, looks, size, best instincts, best all that, right? So that's why you tend to have that. They're not looking for that when they're breeding at a hatchery. They're just looking at cranking them out and getting them out. And so you're not getting some of those traits maybe that you would hope to have, which is a bummer, but sometimes you get lucky. So here's what happened. I've had a few hatch groups that were hatched out by two of my girls out of my breeding group. The one did a better job than the other one. Okay, like she sat better. She had a better hatch rate. She did kind of dip out on them right away, which I've mentioned before. I scooped up all the babies. This was during the spring, the last time it happened, or summer. And I scooped them all up and threw them in a brooder and just raised them out myself, and then returned them to Gen Pop later. Those are the ones that, one of those batches, there was a couple batches, but one of those batches was a batch that I took some up to David at Come On Homesteading. So anyway, that particular bird that had hatched them out, I tagged her so I knew, don't process her. She had a good hatch rate. She's a good one. She's a keeper. She's a breeder. And then I kept two drakes, and then I have, you know, a few other hens out there that I keep for breeding. But it was still early. They were still young. This was their first year of breeding, you know, so you kind of were still shaking it out. And I had another one that hatched out some. Those ducklings, some of those ducklings got picked off. I think they got through the fencing and wandered. I don't know what happened, but they were like brand new when it happened, and then they were just gone, and there was no, it could have been overhead predators, who knows. I wasn't there to see it, but these things happen. So anyway, we ended up with like, you know, ducks, right? And we've got a few that I've got in our chicken tractor over here that I've been moving every day onto fresh grass, and they're gonna get processed at some point here in the not too distant future. So basically separated them because they were getting out into the garden, and I don't need all these ducks for procreating, and pretty soon it's gonna be procreating time. So anyway, we moved. I had like 3 extra drakes that I didn't need out of that hatch group, and then, you know, a few hens. So I've got like 3 drakes and 1 hen over there. So a couple weeks ago, there was, over a month ago now at this point, there was my green banded girl, who's basically their mom that's sitting over there, had started a clutch. And I thought, well, this is not the best time of year, but we did have a little bit of a warm spell there in the beginning, you know, kind of end of fall, beginning of you know, winterish. And it was kind of pleasant out, and it like sort of messed with their bodies, even though typically with the shorter days, these ducks don't lay year round. She technically shouldn't have been laying, but during the hottest part of the summer, they did not lay, you know, like from, basically all of August and part of September, nothing out of them. Usually in October, Now again, these are my birds in California that I'm basing this off of, so our weather pattern's a little different. I would usually get my first clutch to sit in February, usually towards the end of February, so they'd hatch out like, depending on when they started sitting in February, how our weather was. I would either get them the end of February or sometime by mid-March. I would get my first hatch group, and then I might get, 2 or 3 more, maybe, I think one year I got like 4 more out of them during the summer. And then, during the hot months in August, they don't lay. And then you don't get anything again until February. Well, these guys, they started laying again in, I want to say it was September. I got a few random duck eggs, but nobody was making a nest, and I wasn't really trying to encourage it. And so I was like, that's fine. I was just pulling and, eating duck eggs. And then this last go round, about a month ago, I see that she's made a nest and she's been sitting, or she's starting to sit. And I'm like, well, I'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. So she hatches them out, abandons them day one. So that they lost them all. It just did not go well. But she was acting like upset about it, which was weird, because I was like, you did a crappy job and your babies died and this is on you, honey. So I'm like, I'm going to call CPS on you, or DPS, Duck Protective Services or whatever. Anyway, so she crap mom, total crap mom. Again, from a hatchery, these things happen. So there's a phenomenon that I refer to. I don't know what its technical name is. I call it broody butt. It's when a chicken, duck, bird has been sitting. When they get up off the nest, I refer to it as their rumspringa, like the Amish have. They get up to go eat, drink, stretch their legs a little bit before they go back to sitting for another 12 to 14, 16 hours that day, right? And they usually will, get off the nest for, depending on where they are in the nesting cycle. Sometimes they might get up a few times. Sometimes, when it gets towards the end, they're maybe only getting up once for the whole day. Some birds will sit the whole time and whatever. Anyway, they're holding their excrement that whole time. And so when they do get up for their rumspringa, they have what I call broody butt, which is basically a mass exodus of the nether regions. And it usually is audible, and it is usually quite stout and pungent in odor. And I was still seeing a few random trails of broody butt in the yard. And I thought, well, this is weird. Who's broody? Like, is she still upset about the babies that she lost? Like, what's the deal? So then yesterday, I went out to go feed and everything, and I thought, I am losing my damn mind. I swear I hear chirping. And I listened, nothing would get quiet. I was like, okay, it must be a local bird up in the tree or something, but it really sounds like a duckling or a newly hatched chick. And so anyway, I go about doing my chores, and I come back for something else back up to the coop, and I see one little yellow duckling running around. And I'm like, what the heck? And I realize which one's the mom. She's covered in mud underneath. And I start investigating, and I can hear a faint chirping coming from underneath the coop. She had dug a burrow. These are bush ducks. They do sometimes dig and make hollows. They used to make nests under our big cargo container in California all the time. That was like the one hen's favorite spot to lay her nest. Anyway, this one managed to get under there and go all the way to the back end and make her nest. And then she couldn't, because we had had some weather, she couldn't get back in because it had filled up with mud when she came out. That's how she got all muddy, and she couldn't figure out how to go back in. It was messing with her brain. So I was like, great. So this duckling was like freaking out, running in the yard by itself and getting really cold. It was a lot colder that morning. So I scooped it up, stuck it in my shirt, and dug out the mud, and then pulled one of the boards we have off the bottom and dug out a dry hole, which was actually really close to her nest, and put some shavings down so she could get in and out. And took the bird inside with me, left it, in my shirt. I worked on YouTube stuff for a while with this little duckling just nuzzling and chewing on my hair and, staying warm in the house with me. And I thought, okay, let's go check on your mom and see what she's doing. So again, I get down there and I lay in the mud and I put the flashlight under the thing, and I can see her sitting there, and I can see at least one other duckling sitting with her. So I was like, all right. And I brought some chick feed out, and I put it in a red Solo cup and kind of tilted it up underneath, for her. And then I put the little duckling in with its mom. So this morning when I came out, she's out in the yard with them, and there are 8 of them. And they are, for once, they're all staying together. She's staying with them. I'm surprised that they're doing as well as they're doing because it is really cold. And every time I've gone out there to check, they're walking around in the sun, which is not warm. Like it's sunny, but it's not warm out, right, guys? Like it's like 20 degrees. Like feels like it's like 20 degrees, but it's like closer to 30. But you know, typically with newly hatched birds like that, they get cold really fast and then they die. Like that's why I stuck that one in my shirt right away, because that's the fastest way that I've ever found to warm them up safely, and sometimes revive them. And I was able to keep this one from, you know, going to the dark side. So don't go into the light, Carol Ann. So anyway, so I count, they're 8. She's staying with them. They're good. Every time I've gone out and checked on them, probably a dozen times today, and she's out there with them, and you know, she's not sitting huddling with them like, you know, you would really want her to do. So I'll check on her this evening. Hopefully she takes them up into the nest and hunkers down with them for the cold night, because it is supposed to get, I think, in the teens tonight at least, and then I think maybe even, I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be a little bit warmer because of the snow factor that's coming through. But like, you know, last year this time was when we had our big freeze and we were at 4 degrees. So we'll see, you know, how cold it actually ends up getting if we get snow versus if we just get, you know, an ice storm. But anyway, so now I've got these 8 ducklings that at least the mom is raising. So far, so good. Keeping an eye on her though. But very unexpected. Worst time of year. They should not have been laying. Yes, I could have picked up the eggs when I first realized she was laying and tried to destroy it. But it was the other bird doing it initially. And I was like, well, I'll just, you know, see. And then the one that's under the coop is, I need to band her too, because I know she's the other one that's hatched out some birds before too. So I gotta get sneaky and grab her one day and put a band on her so I can see her from afar more easily, and recognize her chicks versus that, so I know who to process when they get big. But so far so good. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing good. The bad part is because of where she laid. I will, once they're a little bit older and she's not sitting with them on the nest at night, or maybe when she's up during the day at some point, except that this will destroy the nest. I need to get in there with like a stick and kind of scoot out if there's any other like eggs that didn't hatch, or any dead chicks that got left in the nest. Like I need to get all the dead stuff out from underneath the coop, because, you know, at least it's cold now. Like if this happened in the summer, it would be really bad, but like it's cold now. They'll still, you know, decompose and whatever, but you won't get quite the stink that you would if this was happening in August. So we'll see. But yeah, some new life in the middle of winter. Like was not on my bingo card with those ducks, but that's what happened. You know, they were not invited. I was not expecting it, but it's what's happened. You know, I'm here for it. Any little bit of fuzzy, fluffy, furry cuteness that I can get, I do. I'm 100% down for it at any given point. So anything bringing me a baby, I'm like, do it. Well, except for my daughter. We're not there yet. One day, but not yet. But everything else, everything else on my property, bring me the babies. I want all the babies. So yeah. So it's kind of an interesting little, you know, surprise here in winter that she's got all these little babies that she's carting around. So hopefully they make it. Like I said, we're at 8 right now, 8 chicks, or 8 ducklings. You know, usually they hatch out between 8 to 12, so she's kind of on the lower end of, you know, and I've had as many hatch out as, I think my record was 16 that I had one hatch out successfully. But you know what? I'll take 8. 8's good. 8 is great, right? 8 is great. So anyway, guys, that's it. So make sure you check out Friday's video. I'm still kind of putting it together with everything that's been going on. Definitely we'll be showing you some of the duckling footage and giving you kind of this is sort of the rundown of the behind the scenes of that, but you'll get the actual video for it, I believe on Friday, unless something changes between now and then. I think that's what I'm going to be working on for Friday. So, so there you have it. I appreciate you guys. As always, stay blessed, and remember, safety's off.